The desert had a way of swallowing sound, hope, and even time itself, and that was exactly what it was doing to Nathan Carter as he stumbled through the scorching emptiness with nothing but a half-empty bottle of water, a fraying backpack, and a trembling belief that he could somehow save the last thing that mattered in his life, his little daughter, Emily. The sun hammered down like a merciless judge, the sand burned through the soles of his shoes, and the horizon quivered with illusions of water he would never reach. He had never felt so close to collapsing, so close to giving up, until the distant shimmer of metal rolling across the dunes caught his fading vision. In that moment, when he thought he was hallucinating, the desert wind brought the low hum of an engine, and a massive white RV crawled toward him like some otherworldly rescue. It slowed, dust swirling around it, and then the door opened with a hiss. A woman stood there, tall, poised, her silhouette outlined by cool air and soft interior lights, and she looked at him as if she had been waiting for him all along. She simply extended her hand and said the words that would change everything: "Hop in, wanderer. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the idea that strangers sometimes save us more than we save ourselves, then please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments where in the world you're watching from, because stories like this remind us how connected we truly are." Nathan had not always been a man wandering through a desert with nothing but desperation. Once, he had been a husband, a father with dreams, and the owner of a modest but steady carpentry workshop in a small Arizona town. Life had been simple, predictable, and warm, until tragedy cracked it apart like brittle wood. His wife, Lauren Carter, had passed away suddenly from an unexpected heart condition, leaving Nathan with a grieving 6-year-old and a mountain of medical bills. The workshop fell behind on rent, and desperate for a better life for Emily, he had taken a job delivering custom furniture across state lines in an old second-hand truck that barely held itself together. The truck became both his lifeline and his burden. When it finally died in the middle of a remote desert road, miles from the nearest town, Nathan had no choice but to start walking. He had told himself he would find help. He had told himself Emily was waiting. He had told himself he could not fail her, not again. The desert, however, cared nothing for his promises. Hours stretched, heat tightened around him like a fist, and his lips cracked with each breath. He thought of Emily's soft voice, the way she clung to him at night, asking if Mommy could see them from heaven. He thought of Lauren's smile, the one that had faded too soon. He pushed forward not because he believed he could make it, but because turning back would mean admitting defeat, and he refused to be the kind of father who gave up. That was when the RV appeared, gliding across the sand like a miracle behind tinted windows and polished chrome. Inside the RV was Evelyn Hartman, a name that echoed across business magazines, conferences, and corporate halls like a myth. She was the CEO of Hartman Innovations, one of the fastest-growing tech companies in the country. People called her brilliant, ruthless, unstoppable. They didn't know that she drove into the desert every year to escape the noise of her success, seeking clarity on empty roads where no one demanded anything from her. She had everything money could buy, yet she often felt hollow, like she had spent years building empires but never built a life. When she saw Nathan stumbling alone, dust-covered and barely standing, something in her froze, not out of fear, but recognition. She knew what it meant to be lost, even if for her it had been emotional rather than physical. She reached for the door without hesitation, and as he climbed inside, she felt as though she had opened her door to more than a stranger. Perhaps she had opened it to a part of her humanity she had long neglected. Inside, the cool air hit Nathan like a blessing. He nearly collapsed onto the soft couch as Evelyn hurried to hand him water, food, and a damp towel. She studied him carefully, noticing the cracked skin, the exhaustion in his posture, and the pain he didn't try to hide. Nathan tried to explain what had happened, but the words crashed into each other, tangled between fear and relief. He told her about Emily, about the truck breaking down, about walking for hours until hope thinned to a single thread. Evelyn listened, really listened, and it was the first time in months he felt someone wasn't just hearing his words, they were hearing his heart. As the RV rolled back toward the nearest town, Evelyn felt a tug inside her chest. She had spent years surrounded by boardrooms, stock charts, and investors who measured everything in numbers. But this man, dusty, grieving, determined, reminded her of something she had forgotten. That strength wasn't measured in dollars or titles, but in how fiercely someone fought for the people they loved. She offered to take him not just to the nearest gas station, but all the way home. Nathan hesitated, not wanting to impose, but exhaustion overtook pride. During the long drive, he spoke about Lauren, about the promise he made at her grave that he would protect Emily with everything he had left. Evelyn found herself opening up in return, sharing pieces of her life she rarely revealed, the loneliness of success, the pressure of perfection, the way she had learned to build companies but never learned how to rest. By the time they reached Nathan's town, something had shifted between them, not romance, not yet, but a gentle connection stitched together by vulnerability. When Emily saw her father step out of the RV, safe and alive, she ran into his arms with a cry that cut straight into Evelyn's chest. Watching them cling to each other, Evelyn felt her eyes sting with a warmth she hadn't felt in years. Emily looked up at her with the innocence of a child and thanked her in a voice so soft it felt sacred. Over the next few days, Evelyn kept checking in. She helped get Nathan's truck towed. She arranged for his workshop rent to be delayed. She even bought some of his handmade furniture, not as charity, but because she genuinely found it beautiful. Nathan was hesitant at first, wary of accepting too much from someone who seemed far above his world, but Evelyn was patient. She reminded him that accepting help didn't make him weak, it made him human. Their unlikely friendship grew. Evelyn began visiting more often, sometimes bringing dinner, sometimes bringing business advice, and sometimes bringing nothing but her presence, which Nathan found strangely comforting. Emily adored her. Nathan respected her. Evelyn found peace with them, a peace she hadn't felt in her entire corporate life, but life, as always, didn't stay gentle for long. A powerful storm hit the region one night, knocking down trees and flooding roads. Nathan's workshop, already fragile, took heavy damage. Wood was ruined, machines short-circuited, and the roof partially collapsed. Nathan stared at the wreckage the next morning with a tightness in his chest that made him feel like the desert sun had returned to crush him. He didn't cry, he couldn't. He simply stood there, numb, feeling everything he had built crumble around him again. When Evelyn arrived and saw the devastation, she felt something inside her snap. She had watched this man fight hardship after hardship, carrying the weight of his world alone. She could not stand by and let him lose the last piece of his stability. Without telling him, she called her company's construction team and ordered a full rebuild. Nathan tried to argue against it, but Evelyn wouldn't let him. She told him that sometimes life gave us storms, but sometimes life also sent people who refused to let us weather them alone. The workshop was rebuilt better than before, stronger walls, new equipment, a space that didn't just function but inspired. Nathan stood inside the finished building, overwhelmed, breath trembling in his lungs. Emily clapped excitedly, running around the room with joy. Evelyn watched from the doorway, heart swelling not with pride but with a profound tenderness she had never known. That was the moment Nathan realized that kindness came in many forms, and sometimes the people who seemed untouchable were the ones carrying the deepest desire to touch a life meaningfully. Evelyn didn't just save him on the desert road, she had kept showing up, again and again, proving that compassion wasn't a single moment but a choice repeated through time. As weeks passed, their bond deepened into something unspoken, something gentle but powerful. They found themselves sharing dinners, laughter, scars, and hope. Emily began drawing pictures of the three of them together, Nathan, Evelyn, and herself, standing in front of the workshop like a family stitched together by fate rather than blood, and perhaps that was exactly what they were becoming. If this story touched your heart, please like the video, share it with someone who might need encouragement today, and subscribe for more stories that remind us of the goodness still alive in this world. Your support helps us keep telling stories that matter.